Good morning, lovelies. I am doing the Tony Robbins Comeback Challenge. I know several of you are because I see your little names pop up. And I want to go on record in saying I love so many things about Tony Robbins. I was going to say I've been fortunate enough to study with some of people who eat dinner with him, like his platinum mindset coaches and these people all over the world. But I won't say I'm lucky because it was a choice. And it was a choice I made on purpose, right? To surround myself with, these high level people who are rubbing shoulders with billionaires. It's a choice I made, a choice I wanted to make. So it's not just a blessing, even though it's choice, right? As you go through and make your own choices. And so I check in with stuff he does. He's doing this comeback challenge. My company's name is Bounce Back Better. I was like, oh, that's something I should be a part of and pay attention to and learn more from him, right? And they did a day on relationships. And of course, I was very excited to watch that one. I knew it wasn't going to be on toxic relationships, but I thought there might be some lovely nuggets of information, right? And there were. There's also something very concerning. And when he pulled a couple out of the audience, he was talking to the woman and he said, what's the problem in the relationship? And she said, well, my husband is retired. And so I have a business that I'm running now. And I think she was doing very well in her business. And my husband doesn't do anything. I thought he would go fishing, or I thought he would find something on his own or whatnot. And he's not. He's just literally sitting and waiting on her to come home. And Tony talked to the guy and he said, what are you doing? What makes you happy? And he's like, well, she makes me happy. Her smile makes me happy. Being with her makes me happy. And there were so many people in the audience who were going, oh. And I was like, whoa. If that was a female, you would call her codependent, right? The only thing that makes him happy, the only thing of interest in his world is someone he's been married to for 25 years. There are so many red flags of control and manipulation in that entire conversation. And it went to show how couples therapists can be manipulated, right? Because everyone in that audience, you can imagine the pressure on that poor female, right? To say she's just trying to start her business or trying to do a business. He's retired. I'm guessing she's the one bringing in the income. And he is like, oh, I just want her to be with me. I don't want her to travel for work. I don't want her to do this. I don't want her to do that. And, so everybody was oohing and awing, and the audience was like, oh, he just loves her. He just wants to see her smile. And you could see the woman hesitate. And Tony said, you see me in your head. You're overthinking. You need to be in your heart. You need to be in just love with this man. And you're still in love with him, right? She goes, yeah, I still love him. And he said, well, what's the matter? And she said, I was looking for a middle ground. She was looking for a middle ground. She was looking for someone to say, girl, it is okay that you have a business. It is okay that you are driven. It is okay that you're providing for your family. You don't have to shut yourself down and make yourself small so your husband can have a hobby. And any of you, if your significant other is your hobby, you need a new hobby. If the person comes into you, and I hear words like, oh, we were joined at the hip, he always wanted to be with me, that is never a good sign. All the red flags, I hear it all the time in conversations, and, oh, he was just joined at the hip. It is never a good sign. That should have been run. It may seem like, oh, he just wants to see me smile. Oh, he just wants to be with me. Oh, he just wants to be around me all the time. That is called control, my dear. That is called control and codependency. And we don't usually call men codependent, right? We somehow give them a pass. And I was just watching this whole thing. And Tony Robbins, she said, I was hoping we could find a middle ground. And he said, in relationships, there are no middle grounds. There's only 100% giving. And I went, oh, and he is a billionaire, and or I don't know how much money he has, a lot, and his wife just travels around with him. right? He makes enough money. There's no reason she can't. She goes to all his events. She massages his shoulders backstage. Like, I know these things, right? I know these things. And that's not workable for 99% of the world, right? It's not workable for one person to have an entire life and the other person to come into their life. I really like him. I still love everything he said was great in a healthy relationship. As far as me and Ben, some different things like women want to be seen, men don't want to be criticized, women have to say what they need, not expect their men to be mind readers. All of that piece was fabulous advice, and it's all fabulous advice unless you're in a toxic relationship. And if you've never been in a toxic relationship, you have no idea the hell and the games. And it's like, he was telling this woman to accept responsibility for her actions and to give more. And I was hyperventilating in my bed. I was just like, oh my gosh. And I went and I saw the comments. And these women were saying, but what if the relationship was abusive? What if he was a narcissist? What if I gave and it was never good enough? And I'm just like, please join the group Finding Love and Success After a Toxic Relationship. I'm like making little comments and trying to give them hope and a home because they were getting advice from someone I admire greatly. I admire this man greatly. The people who he has impacted my life and the people who I have trained with and studied life coaching with have nearly all been Tony Robbins Platinum Mindset coaches. People who were like, oh yeah, me and Tony went to dinner last week. That's a level of training that I invested in and that I wanted to bring back in my coaching to you guys. And it was just so missed. And that woman said, I hope we could find a middle ground. And Tony said, in relationships, there are no middle grounds. There's only 100%. And everybody, audience, was swept up in the romantic. Oh, he wants to see her smile. Oh, he wants this. Oh, I wish a man would just want to see me smile. And they missed. No, the man got 100%. I'm not saying it can be male and female, right? In this case, the man got 100% the answer he was looking for. She got 0% of the answer she was looking for. So she was 100% giving, and the man ended up at 100% receiving. Because now he can go home and say, you know what? Even Tony Robbins told you shouldn't work so much. You should be home with me. Proximity. That's what he said. He said we should be, without proximity, you don't have a relationship. So if you're off working, then, we don't have a relationship. And maybe there was some footage that I didn't see. There was not footage on the live I didn't see. I watched the entire live. Okay, so I'm sure from the event there was some footage I did not see. But a healthy relationship is compromise. A healthy relationship is two people getting to play by the same set of rules. A healthy relationship is a relationship where two people get to succeed. Not where one person gives and another person takes, and one person uses your goodness, your best pieces, whether that be your desire to work, whether that be your desire to have hobbies, interests. Please do not date anyone without hobbies and interests. Please do not date anyone without hobbies and interests. That is a horrible sign. And the best relationships are where you get to be you. And you're valued for that, and it's not manipulated against you, and they're not asking you to change, and they're not saying, if you loved me, you would keep giving up more things. If you love me, you would keep giving up pieces of yourself. If you love me, you will keep making yourself small so I can feel big. If you love me, you will allow me to move the finish line while I watch you run. I'm going to do an article. It's been in my head forever and I haven't done it yet. But the love language of narcissist, right? And the love language of narcissist, if you've ever heard of the 5 love languages, it's words of affirmation, words of affirmation, gifts, quality time, words of affirmation, gifts, quality time, physical touch, and I can't remember the last one. I can't believe I don't remember that. I always remember these things. Anyway, Ben and I went on an 8-mile hike yesterday after I went to burn camp. So I can barely move my body today. So no makeup for the live. But love you anyway. So I'm probably not as sharp and I'm not had my coffee this morning. So look them up, the 5 love languages. But the 6th love language of a narcissist, right? There's not really 6. But if I had to add the love language of a narcissist, it would be, I need to see you work. I need to see you work at trying to please me. I need to see you work at trying to figure this out. I need to see you work at trying to make me happy. I need to see you work at making yourself smaller. I need to see you work at making this relationship work. I need to see you work at trying to make sense of everything. That is the love language of a narcissist. And I don't know that man, it was like a 2-minute video, but the red flags of, what do you mean you don't have a life outside of her? What do you mean you have free reign to do whatever you want? You can't figure it out on your own. What do you mean the only thing that makes you happy is being with her? What do you mean you want her to not be successful at her job? Those are huge red flags. Huge red flags, because it's all about him and what he wants. And you could just see the look on her face of fear, and then someone saying, well, you need to try harder in the relationship, and the despair of try harder in the relationship. How could I try any harder than I did? I gave everything. I sold my soul for this relationship. What do you mean I didn't give 100%? Okay. So as you look at relationship advice, at the end of the video, the things he said were wonderful relationship for the man. I could walk into that living room. He needs to make me coffee, right? We're planning brunch. But the man that I can walk in that living room with, who doesn't flip things on me and wants me to be successful and has other interests other than me, right? It was great advice for that relationship. And I was even extra sweet to him after I read it. I saw it. I was like, oh, I'm just so thankful for you, right? And which was the whole point of the video. But if you were in a toxic relationship, and once again, you were made to feel like everything was your fault, or you were responsible for everything, it's horrible advice, because you need to raise your expectations for how other people treat you. And he even said at the end of the video, he said to make a list of the things you want in a relationship. If you're single and looking to date, make a list of the things that you want in a relationship. And then as you look at that list of who that person is, then to ask yourself, who do I need to be to attract that type of person? And I don't want to put any pressure on you to, oh, you need to be better, you need to be good enough, because after a toxic relationship, you've put so much of that pressure on yourself, okay? Remember, he wasn't talking about toxic relationships. I am, okay? So I'm not putting more on you and more weight on your shoulders to say, oh, you need to change and be better, right? You're probably like exceptional in 1,000 ways. What you do need to do is figure out how to neutralize the triggers in the past, so you don't bring this huge weight, this huge elephant into the next relationship. You need to learn what you need in a relationship and how to ask for it, because a healthy person is going to expect you to bring that to a relationship. They'd say, well, of course you'd ask for what you need. What do you mean you don't have any needs? What do you mean you try not to have any needs? Like, what? That would be odd to an unhealthy person. To a toxic person, they say, great, she's already been trained. Okay? It's not what you want. And you need to learn how to raise your expectations for other people's treatment of you, and to say, oh, I don't let people treat me that way anymore. I don't do that anymore. Oh, you must have me confused with the old version of Sarah. Okay? So on your list of, I thought it was great advice, making a list, and this is not new advice. Tons of people have heard that, and very few people have done it. Making a list of what you want in a relationship, and then making a list of who you need to be to attract that type of person. And part of that is putting the period at the end of the sentence of, I am healed. Women love healing, and we love growth, and we love this. So it's like, oh, I'm healing on this journey. First I do this to heal, and then I do this to heal, and then I do this to heal. You can always grow, right? A person who's always growing is an attractive person to bring into a relationship. A person always trying to heal, their life still centers around the toxic parent, around the toxic person, around the toxic relationship. So switching your mind from healing to growing, right? Huge difference, all the difference in the world. And then saying, oh gosh, I don't want to bring my crap from the past into my future relationships. I don't want to be triggered, right, by a healthy man because of someone my unhealthy father did, or my unhealthy mother, or my unhealthy cousin, or sister, or brother, or past partner, or whatever else it is. So I hope that gives you some homework for this Sunday fun day. I'll probably pop back on live later and check in with you guys. But if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments, and talk soon. Have a great day.